Okay, so we're going to be making our trees. You have the option to make a large tree, a single large tree on your project, or multiple little trees. So if you look at mine, in my example, I did a few birch trees, okay? If you decide to do more than one birch tree, you're gonna wanna make sure that you limit it to 3. I wouldn't do any more than 3. What you're gonna do is use the handout to follow along step by step of how to draw your tree. If you're going to do the more than one tree, then you're going to want to have your paper this way, the wide way. If you're going to want to do the big single tree, then you're going to want to have your paper the up and down way so that you can fit the entire tree in. I'm going to do the single trees because they're a little more work, and you can watch me along with that. So what I'm going to do is just the outline of the tree first, okay? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to start with just the center of my tree. So I'm just going to do 3 lines to start the center of my tree. And I want to space these lines out enough so that I have room for branches. I don't want them to overlap right now. We can overlap them on our paper. So I like to do, make sure I have space for branches on the edge of the paper. So I do about 4 finger spaces each line. So I have 4 away from the edge of the paper, 4 to the next one, 4 to the next one, and then that gives me 4 equal lines on my paper, or 4 equal spaces on my paper using 3 lines. So again, start by putting 4 fingers on there, trace, 4, trace, 4, trace. Now what we're going to do with our tree is we are going to make sure that it looks more like a tree trunk. If you're looking closely at a tree, you might notice that as that tree gets closer to the ground, the roots grow larger and it grows wider. So we're now going to come to the top here, and we don't want to make it too skinny. We're going to come out just a little bit. Think about the branch of a birch tree. And we're going to follow that first line we did, but we're going to very slightly spread out and go to an angle so that it's a little thicker down at the bottom. So again, and this is at least 1 finger's width. Down, and same thing here. Down. Now I'm going to do my branches. So I'm going to do my main branches. And again, I'm just going to start it by doing a line. Okay. And same thing, now we're going to do another line. So this one's a little different. It's going to come to a point at the end. So from this part, it's almost like a triangle in a way, and it's going to curve thicker as it gets closer to the tree. So notice I'm starting at the tip and I'm going farther away from that line as I get out, and thicker as I go closer to that tree. Now that might be a little too thick, so maybe I'll just kind of draw it more like that. We don't want giant, thick tree branches, but we want them to get thicker as they go out, okay? If you want to draw any smaller branches off of those, that's fine. I wouldn't do too many though, because we are going to cut these out. Okay, so now we're going to do, using a pair of scissors, you're going to cut these trees out. So I'm going to go in with my scissors and cut along that line I did. Okay, so I've taken care of my scrap papers and I now have my 3 trees. So I'm just going to kind of think about where I want to place these trees. Do I want to have them overlapping in some spots? Maybe I don't. So maybe I'll make my composition a little different. It looks like I equally spaced them in this one. Maybe in this I want to make them different. So we're going to use Elmer's glue, and I want you to please make sure you're adding the glue to the side you see the pencil line, okay? We don't want to see that pencil line in our drawing. So I always tell my friends to add the messy to the messy side. So with the glue, you don't need to go in and glue near the edges. You want to stay away from the edge of the paper. So I'm just going to do a line down the middle of each tree branch and stay away from the edge. So literally in the middle is all you need. Push lighter on that glue if your lines are too thick. Okay, because when you go to push this on your paper, it's going to spread out. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna line the top and bottom of my tree branch with my paper, just like this. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in, same thing, set this aside, add glue on top of this. Maybe I want this guy to slightly overlap that first one, to look like it's coming closer to us. And then my last one, maybe I wanna spread that away. Remember, less is more when it comes to the glue. Okay, so that's about it for today. We don't want to add anything else till next week because we need some time for that glue to dry. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.